and they can be very proud of what they've achieved.
Well, one of the things you touched on, Miller, when he went out with the side, that hurt them. And at least they had Sam Williams to come in. Now, next year, they won't have Sam Williams to come in. So it's like that bad period they had there. But then they managed to get everyone to maximise themselves, you feel, don't you? That's what you're saying.
Yeah, they got the best out of what they had and exceeded expectations. And I think if you're a Wakefield fan, whilst there's all sorts of trials and tribulations going on off the pitch, what's actually being delivered to you on the pitch at the moment probably assuages some of those feelings and those worries about what the future might hold.
Well, like Bryce said, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah, and at the end of the day, you want to be entertained by sport, don't you? And it's a departure from, it's a pastime, isn't it, for fans going and enjoying that. So it's nice to see Wakefield, a grand old club, having a good couple of seasons.
And they had a fun game against Cast, didn't they? That regular season game at Bellevue where David Fafita kind of gave it a bit and then
it all fell apart.
Back and that sort of stuff. Yeah, well, I mean,
good senses of humour, good characters around that club as well. In guys like Dave Fafita and the experience that they can bring to help develop other younger players coming through the system, like guys like young Batchelor, for instance.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you make of Wakefield?
Well, they were a surprise. The season was built around the month of May. Before that, they weren't great. After that, they were very inconsistent. But in May, they were perfect. The thing you have to be impressed with was their attack. It ranked third this year for points scored, particularly their first half attack, in which they were second to only Castleford in first half points scored. So maybe they dropped off a little bit towards the back end of games. That's probably reflecting the players' overall quality rather than what was got out of the quality that they could, the talent level sort of thing. But, so they hit teams well in the first half of games. The other thing I've got written down here is about their wingers. I think their wingers as a position group were outstanding. Only Cassie's wingers had a better try-strike rate, and no wing group made more metres for their team than the Wakefield one did. Whatever you might say, whether that was to go on 100-metre breaks, running through all of Huddersfield to score a try like Ben Jones Bishop did, or the ones that Caton Brown and Bill Tupu put on against Widnes and stuff like that. But yeah, they only had 4 players who featured on the wing in starting lineups in Super League this year. Tom Johnston, Ben Jones Bishop, Mason Caton Brown and Bill Tupu. And all 4, had at least one multi-try game, and they all had at least one 200-metre plus game this season, which I think that's really impressive to get that, whoever's in the position, and them all to contribute so well. As well as all 4 wingers, and Tupu is more of a centre, but as well as all the 4 of those players, another big player for them obviously was David Fafita. He had more than 100 tackle busters and over 3,000 metres, one of only 3 players to achieve that impressive double this year.
Bravo. Okay, so moving on from Wakefield then, who had a season where they outstripped expectations, to a team that certainly did the opposite, Warrington Wolves, Mark.
Yes, because we both had them finishing second in the league, but they actually finished first in the qualifiers.
What do we know?
Tom, well, not a lot, because you also had them winning the cup, and they went out in the quarterfinals. So there you go. So, but I'm sure someone who'll tell us all about how it was not their year, but will still be next time around,
their year,
is Leigh Whitnell. Take it away.
I was really nervous this year that we wouldn't hit the heights of last year, losing Sandow and replacing him with Brown and not really strengthening our three-quarters line like I'd said last year that we needed to do. But when we beat Brisbane Broncos in our first home game of the season, I actually thought that we might have stumbled upon a winning formula. But it turns out we hadn't. Turns out we'd actually found some sort of reverse alchemy where we'd managed to turn solid gold into absolute shite. The absolute low point for me was the away game at Saints. It was terrible. The Saints were playing as bad as us, really, and they didn't put in a massive performance, but they destroyed us in that game, and they deserved to do it, and it was so disheartening. I think the best point for me was the reverse fixture at the HJ, where we'd taken a slow start, they'd taken the lead, we played really, really poorly for the first 20, and then we pulled it out of the bag for the last 60 and really put in a performance. And I thought that at that point that we would kick on, but we didn't really. We slumped again after Magic, and then we just got ourselves into a position that we couldn't get out of. And as good as it was to go on that winning run at the end, we were playing teams that we absolutely should have been beating, and there was no real glory in that. It was nice to see Hiku at the HJ. He's a marvellous player, really good talent, and I wish him well as he goes back to the NRL. I don't blame him one little bit. Gidley had a strong end to the season. After probably a slow start, and even the performance against Leigh where he was cameraed up and he was absolutely terrible. And Curry, we missed him this year. He was gone for the whole of the season, and I think we potentially could have had a different season if he'd been fit. But he wasn't. He came back towards the end. He's still injured, really, and it's been a shame for him. Hopefully, next season he can stay injury-free, because a player of that quality needs to be playing for us, for Warrington, but also for the Super League. They're the kind of players that we need to keep on the park. Obviously, Tony Smith's gone now. I think over the course of the season, I did start to come around to the idea that it was time for him to go. But now he has gone, I feel quite sad about it. Really, I've never known any other coach of Warrington. Obviously, this is only my fourth season as a rugby league fan. So I think I feel I guess nervous for next year. Steve Price has just been confirmed, so that rumour's been going around for a while. I back him 100%. Let's see how he gets on. I hope he plays expansive rugby and the kind of stuff that we want to see. I definitely don't want him to sign Robert Louis. I've heard that rumour, and I have sort of said to Warrington on Twitter that I won't be renewing my season ticket if that happens. That's something I definitely don't want to happen. But there are rumours about Tyrone Roberts, and there's some good potential signings coming in. But we are going to have to completely overhaul the squad. There's a lot of players left, and I think a lot of the players that have left, I'm fairly happy about. But we've got to replace them with quality, which is something that we didn't manage last year, and we were in a similar position last year where we had to do it quite late, and we're doing it again late because we couldn't guarantee that we were going to be in Super League next year. And I'm hoping that with Murdoch Masilla, which I think has been announced, I'm not actually sure, maybe Tyrone Roberts, definitely not Robert Louis, and a few more new faces. Hopefully next year we'll be able to do something definitely better than this year, but maybe it will be our year.
Okay, thank you for that, Leigh, letting us know how it must be hard work giving a review on a Warrington season, Mark. They were
you could be relentlessly optimistic, though.
They are relentlessly optimistic.
He did say shit nearly as many times as Alan did, I think.
Who else got in touch with the Warrington season then?
Well, Dar Garner, he said, great start, forget the rest.
Yeah.
I guess he means the start, as in the World Club Challenge game.
Great one game.
World Club Series game, yeah.
God, they all thought they were going to win.
Shit at the start of the league. Mike Dodd said, failing to win the grand final in 3 attempts has led to us going for a new tactic. Copy Leeds. Season 1. Complete meaning.
Season 1 complete.
Season 1 complete, meaning we're destined for grand final glory next year. It's always our year.
There you go.
Elliot Wrench said, short and sweet from me. Our season was totally underwhelming. The potential for success at the start of it, with the stellar names in our squad, was exciting, but that soon got knocked out of us. The big shake-up that's now underway could well be the seeds of successful new beginning. Well, it is our year after all.
There you go.
Next year.
And it's good to hear from you, Elliot, and thanks to Mike and Darren as well. Mark, what did you make of Warrington's season?
Well, like Wakefield, Warrington were a surprise, but unlike Wakefield, this was all in the wrong ways, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a sad way for Tony Smith to depart the club, is how it kind of feels as an overall summation for me. But the team we saw in the qualifiers that had 7 wins, they scored 30 points or more in 5 of those 7 wins. That was kind of the team we thought we'd see a little bit more this year. But really, it was the start of the season. Without a win until round 8, that cost them. From then, they went on a good run. That saw them in the top 8 after Magic Weekend. That draw at Wigan, they'd squeaked into the top 8 there. But another long losing run after that saw them fight for the qualifiers. Many of their games were lost in the first half during the regular season, Tom. They were bad in both halves, generally. That's not not take it away from the second half. There was a negative points difference in both the first and second half, obviously, because they were rubbish. But they were the best team in terms of improving their level of performance after half time.
Right.
They scored 48.
Something constantly shit, they get a rocket up.
They scored 48 more points and conceded 47 fewer points after the break compared to before it, but they still conceded more than they scored after the break. But anyway, they got better as games went on, giving the fans some hope at times. It's the hope that
kills you, yeah.
Here's the number that will surprise you, Tom. They ended the regular season with the best overall team tackle success rate. So their defence, whilst in many ways still bad, was not their biggest problem. Here's two numbers that might not surprise you. Mm-hmm. They ran more from dummy half than any other side, which have done pretty much every season under Tony Smith. They made more regular season errors than anyone else.
Right.
They were so error prone, it was crazy. The errors killed them as they actually made the third most metres in the league. They had the second both average game in terms of metres per carry in the league.
Jesus.
But they ended up the first worst in terms of creating breaks and second worst in both tries and points scored in the regular season. So they basically couldn't pass the ball to each other.
Yeah.
It is the problem.
Yeah.
In a bad year, there were still a couple of players that deserve singling out for special praise for basically continuing to do what they've done ever since SLP began. Darryl Clark had the best average gain in the league, other than a player who only had 5 carries, so we won't count his stats too much. But other than that player, Clark's 9.9 metres per carry on his 172 total carries before the split were the best of any player in Super League this year. Chris Hill had the best tackle success rate, over 98%, we've already talked about this, of any player who had more than 50 tackle attempts on the year as well. So both those two players still absolutely doing what they do well at the peak.
There you go. Look, Warrington's season for me is one of execution, and it's patent that
who are we executing?
Well, exactly. Well, yeah, maybe so, but they just didn't execute in attack. That's the problem that Warrington had this year. Where you've talked about how that they were, there or thereabouts defensively, and they were making meters, and they were, rolling teams over. It comes down to attacking execution, and it comes down to. I'm not keen to blame one person for this, but the guy they brought in to run their attack did not deliver, and that has been the main part of Warrington's problem for me, because they had a reasonably good forward pack, and there's some talented individuals within that, and I feel that had they in another year and in another set of circumstances executed better and finished their moves better, that you would have seen them finishing higher up the league. They just never really got out of the starting blocks, and it became very difficult for them. They shaped themselves sort of in the second quarter of the season, but they never really kicked on from that. Now, I think that given the amount of time that Tony Smith has spent at Warrington, that it was the right time for him to move on. I don't think it's Tony Smith's fault that they had this year necessarily, although he'll accept that. It was under his tutelage. I think it was a combination of things just not going right for them on the pitch, because I'm certain that none of these lads went out there to lose games.
Any mitigation for the fact that they started the season without Rashford, without Hill, without Curry, or
no? I don't think you can. I don't think 8 games without a win. I don't think that mitigates 8 games without a win. I think it mitigates 3 or 4 or an inconsistent period of time. But there's still plenty of good young players at Warrington. They've got a decent academy, and they've got a deeper squad than most. To fill those holes. Sort of. I don't think you can necessarily fill a Chris Hill-shaped hole in your squad, but they should have been doing better regardless of those injuries. So no, I don't think that does excuse it. I'm not going to back them next year based on this performance, and they'll probably prove me wrong. But I think there's going to be a big transition take place at Warrington now, and we're seeing that with some of the acquisitions they're making.
It feels Ben different if Peter Hickey was still there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, of course it would. That would be massive for them. And he was insane for them coming in. He was an absolute freak for them in the second half, in the back half of the season. Price coming in as head coach, new acquisitions being made. There's a lot of turnover going to happen at Warrington, and hopefully it will be something that Steve Price can manage and then convert into a better season for Warrington. But I'm telling you now, they won't win it next year.
Fair enough.
Okay, down the road in Cheshire then. Another team that weren't performing particularly well were the Widnes Vikings this year, Mark.
Yeah, well, they did better than we expected, even though they did as bad as they did. Yeah, because they finished second in the qualifiers in the end.
And we're getting relegated.
They were dumped out of the cup in the first game, but I think we expected that from them. But we had them both of us had them playing in the £1 million game. I had them winning it, and you had them losing it.
Yeah.
And in fact, they avoided it altogether. We have a wonderful joint review that's come in from Paul and Grace O'Brien. So take it away, guys.
Now then, lads, strap yourselves in for our Widnes Vikings review of the season. Hi, my name is Paul.